Graham, last time I chatted with you was with your film Bygone, which was exceptional, and this is just another one of these standout films for you. Was there something about Michael Ferris Smith's script that really stood out for you, or his book, maybe even?
Well, Parker's actually the one who discovered the book, but I think that there is definitely a crossover between what drove us to write the Bygone and tell that story and what led us to this story. We've always had a soft spot for these parts of the world, and particularly in the parts of the U.S. where it's sort of these borderlands where we don't really, the stories don't really get told as much, and where there's a sort of an exotic nature to it, which is what westerns as a genre is founded on. But there's a whole other realm, which is Southern Gothic literature, which explores it in a different way, where the land sort of is a character in and of itself, and there's something existing in the mist and there's such a haunting history in the South, and it sort of holds these emotions and this guilt and this rage, and it permeates a lot of Southern Gothic lit. And so Parker read the book, and we felt like that lended itself to this sort of heightened uh, storytelling that straddles the line between the real, the gritty, but also this sort of almost dreamlike quality that we've always been drawn to.
Parker, there's some exceptional actors in this, and their performances are just astounding in this. How hands-on were the two of you when it came to casting this film?
Yeah, we had, final say in all casting, but it was for sure a collaborative effort, with our producers and Cassian Elwes, our producer, came up with he called us one day and he said, "What about Aaron Eckhart?" And for Graham and I, we just kind of struggled with who to cast and who could really pull off this, 50-year-old bare knuckle fighter who physically and mentally has been through so much, and but you have to think, he could possibly fight again. And I think, it's just a really tough role to cast. And when he mentioned Aaron, Graham and I's desire was also to cast someone who'd never done anything like this. And so I saw my brother's eyes light up, and we thought, he was perfect. And so we made the offer, and then do what everyone does. You just kind of sit and cross your fingers and hope. And luckily he really saw, everything that we had seen, in the movie. He was attracted to the story of redemption, and he was attracted to this, love between a mother and a son, no matter how they came to be. And, he brought it, and we were incredibly lucky to have him, as Jack, and, set the bar really high. Um, and yeah, as far as, Bella was suggested to us, and we jumped on the phone with her, and immediately she just started speaking to the character in ways, as two male brothers, we're not really, she was immediately bringing stuff to the character that Graham and I were like, oh, like this.
I mean, we went into the interview with Bella thinking, like, we want to make sure that she's, that she really understands this character. And we were like ready to sort of be testing her, like, how involved is she really going to be? Is she taking this seriously? And, she's in Venice, like in a robe with like a giant blunt. And we're like, okay, here we go. Let's see if she's got, and it just completely, the tables got turned, and she knew more about this character than we possibly could, which came honestly from a place of it resonated with her, and there was a lot of stuff in her personal life
to it
that
Yes.
resonated with her.
She has shared online that it's one of her favorite roles so far, and she really goes so intense with this character. The tattoos are exceptional. Did you all have any say in that as well?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I was like 2.5 hours in the makeup chair every day. Yeah, it
it's
was
the
a big
stuff you don't think
collaboration.
of when it says, it's just one simple line in the script, or she's covered with tattoos, and then you realize what that really means day in and day out.
Oh my
And
God.
she was so amazing. She's such a trooper for doing it, because she knew what it meant, and but she knew how important it was for the character, and she helped design. She was really involved. She helped design her wardrobe. She helped design her makeup. She did her own makeup most days. She helped design the tattoos and where they were placed. You made it very personal for her. So
It's really clear in the novel, and it's clear to a certain extent in the film as well. But these tattoos really make up her identity. It's all these signs of her so-called Church of Coincidence that have led her from place to place. The sort of universe gently guiding her down her path. if she can just listen to it enough. And so she's
Mm.
taken all these signs that have dictated how her life is, unfolded, and she's put it all over her body. So it really is her life story. Um, and so it had to be personal. So I'm happy we spent a lot of time on it. But man, it's just one of those parts of filmmaking you don't really think about. You're spending hours and hours and hours. You're like, well, do we put it here? Do we put it here? And thankfully, she was a great collaborator.
Parker, there are some very visceral scenes for this, and I'm sure cage fighting, maybe even the field, were exceptionally standouts to you when you were filming. Was there some scene that, looking back at it from page to screen, you both truly love, or even thought turned out better than when you were sketching it out?
Yeah, I think yeah, Graham just gave me a signal. I know what his answer is now. I For me, there's a scene that's probably the most personal for our lead Jack, and also, maybe the strongest private moment and the longest time we spend with him in a private moment, and that's, after it's you describe it in screenplay terms as all his lost moment, and that's when, Aaron's character Jack comes to the motel room he's staying in and kind of confronts his own reflection with, where his life has taken him, and that
And all
scene.
his regrets and his guilt, and coming to terms with his addictions, and how he's sort of self-abandoned himself and his
Mhm.
own foster mother.
And that scene was written, it's I don't want to give too much away, but it's a really emotional scene. It's not written with any dialogue. There's no dialogue whatsoever in the scene. So everything that is said in that was Aaron improvising. And it was really beautiful what he did, because he put a lot of himself into it and it became very personal. And that scene also has flashbacks intercut with it, which that's very hard to, that always worries the director, at least it worries us, because it's hard to pull off. And those flashbacks to him as a child on a playground being bullied, that was actually the first scene we shot in the film. So, being able to technically match that, but also just emotionally match that, and then worrying in the edit, how are you going to pull this off? And, hats off to our editor, Ned Thorne. Graham and I are very hands on in the edit. And that was a scene that we just said, hey, look, can you put this together? Because honestly, it was personal to us too. We were a little too close to it. And he cut it together. He temped it with the Joker soundtrack at first, I remember, and Graham and I watched it and it blew us away. And that scene is very close to his original edit. He did a great job. So I would say that's probably for me the scene that I'm most proud of.
Graham, you touched a bit on Bella's arc for the film, but is there something specifically you'd like to have viewers take away or linger with audiences who watch Rumble Through the Dark?
As far as Bella's arc, or more generally
Yeah, just
speaking?
in general, is there a message or maybe even an emotion that you truly hope lingers with people who watch Rumble Through the Dark? Second chances, etc.
Yeah, I think people will leave with the sense that it's never too late. Um, and that even after a lifetime of settling and of giving in to parts of yourself that aren't serving you, it's never too late to end up on the other side and to achieve that salvation. Now, more specifically, we were just talking about this. The film the film really is an offering, despite all its darkness and its grit, and it can be violent at times. At the end, there's this sense of it begging you to appreciate the people that you have in your life that love you, while you have them. And sometimes it's easy to take them for granted. And more often than not, we wait too long to see how special they are to us. While we're off living life and doing all these things that we think are going to make us happy or successful or get respected or whatever. Um, they're there for us, and sometimes we wait too long to come back to them, and I think that this film is an offering to do that sooner rather than later.
Parker, thoughts?
I oftentimes my brother says stuff better than I can say, so I'm smart enough to be silent on this.
Older brother.